Well, the Mid-Atlantic is already feeling the wind and the rain from potential tropical cyclone 16, PTC 16 for a shortened bit of a name there, easier to roll off the tongue. But this is going to be one that could take the name Ophelia, and it could happen sooner than you think. Here's a look at the waves right now in Nags Head, North Carolina. Choppy seas, winds have already begun to pick up. We've been clocking wind gusts in about the 20 to 30 mile per hour range, and this expected to top upwards of 60 miles per hour as the day goes on, especially this evening. That's when this storm expected to move ashore tonight. We'll see how things go. The hurricane hunters, well, they're scheduled to fly through the storm, in fact, making their way in right as we're speaking. And, you know, we want to watch this closely because the timeline for preparation is very slim. And I think if you're in, you know, the Cape of North Carolina, you've already got rain pushing through. It's going to be pretty tough to make sure all your, hatches are battened down. 50 mile per hour winds now moving to the north at 12 miles per hour. Pressure steadily dropping as this storm is kind of coming together. I want to take you inside what potential tropical cyclone means. And so what we have here is a system, a low pressure system, where we have lots of thunderstorm development, but that warm core closed circulation hasn't quite developed yet. And that is what brings it to a full tropical storm, tropical depression. But right now, what we have here is inside the thunderstorms that are developing around this low, we have tropical storm force conditions, and those are going to continue to move onshore within the next 12 to 24 hours. And so the National Hurricane Center has gone ahead and they've stepped in with this potential tropical cyclone naming. And what that does is that it allows them to issue watches and warnings. We have tropical storm warnings up right now, as well as storm surge warnings. And this is important because it allows then local teams, emergency managers, to get out the information that they need to the public so that people are now paying attention to what's moving in and they can better protect themselves from the storm, from the wind and the rain and the flooding that is expected to happen as we go through the day today and especially opening up the weekend. I want to take you inside the storm. So we have a lot of thunderstorm development on the north side of this low. Watching it closely, this thick strip of yellow and orange heavy rain that's kind of sitting just offshore of North Carolina. I want to show you a little bit of what's happening, bigger picture. Here's our circulation sitting right about here. And you can see all the deeper convection that's happening. Convection meaning thunderstorm development that's happening on the north side of the storm. And that has been kind of difficult to pinpoint whether or not this would become fully tropical, because what's happening is you don't have, at least in the last 12 hours, that development closer to the center of circulation. What the National Hurricane Center has found is that center of low has actually shifted a bit further north, closer to where these thunderstorms are developing. You also have this strip of dry air that's being funneled into the low, and that's kind of been cutting off some of the thunderstorm development on the south and southeast side of the storm. But you also see what's happening here. We have some thunderstorm development that's popping up and kind of blocking this dry air from trying to intrude inside that storm. And I think this is going to be an interesting feature to watch play out, and through this afternoon could actually help in aiding potential tropical cyclone 16 and getting that name for tropical storms. So stay with us here. Regardless of what it becomes named, of course, we are anticipating to see the impacts here remain the same, and it's already happening. In fact, Fox Weather's Brandy Campbell is on Cape Hatteras in North Carolina with the very latest. Brandy, the weather will worsen from here on out, but what's the most striking thing that you've experienced so far this morning?
Well, out here, I think it's the obvious picture behind me. It's these waves. They are very tall, and they've been going strong really overnight. At my hotel here on the beach, we could hear them just crashing throughout the night, along with the strong winds. They've just been pounding the buildings, and actually, if you're sitting still, you can actually feel them shaking just a little bit. So the wave action and the strong winds that have been nonstop. I mean, as you can see, it's pulling or pushing and blowing around the sand. So it's not very comfortable to be out here, and driving conditions also impacted because of the high winds picking up that sand and reducing visibility, or at least there's that possibility that could start to happen as well. But I mentioned that high winds, so I have my ammonometer here. I want to go ahead and do a little reading real quick and see what we capture right now. I know you mentioned, Jane, that they were like in the 30 mile per hour wind speed gusts or wind speed range. So right now it's reading about 27, 29. And every now and then we really get a good gust that, it makes you kind of hold your stance a little bit. And we know this isn't the strongest that we're going to get. We could get sustained winds up to 40, 45 miles per hour at the peak of this storm. So not ideal conditions to be outside in. And in this area where we are, which is, a hotel, there are some guests that are staying here as well, riding out the storm. I haven't seen many people outside. I have seen people driving on the roads. And actually there was footage of people driving away from the island chains as this storm is getting closer to this area, taking it more seriously. We know we do have that storm surge warning here as well. So there's that threat. Most of the buildings here, they are high up, but the thing is, the roads where people are parking, that's pretty low. So if we do see the storm surge, up to 4 feet here, then maybe your vehicles and items that are on the lower, flat ground surfaces, that will be at risk. So hopefully some people taking their cars out of danger and themselves as well. But again, it's a big wind event here on the beach. Thankfully, we have a good dune system right here, and hopefully that'll hold up once we get to the high tide for today and as well as for tomorrow, Jane.
I'm Amy Freeze. Welcome to Fox Weather's YouTube page. We have more great videos on the way, so make sure to subscribe to stay updated on all things weather.